video covers the second tab in the Model Stochastic Simulation workbook that the SOA provides. And the main thing I wanted to talk about was the strike and this notional amount on this GMAB, Liab plus put tab. And you'll notice a couple of changes I made, a couple of simplifications. This mortality and expense fees, I put this at 0. The riders and fees, I put this at 0. And also the lapse rate, I put that at 0%. And then you'll also see I changed this to 4,000. I wanted to see a little bit of a different number, and plus I saw the S&P was about 4,000 today on the index, and so I thought it was pretty fitting. And the strike amount, now you need to realize what the purpose of the put, what is the purpose of this put? It's to protect the insurer on this GMAB and providing this GMAB. So if the guarantee amount is higher, then it causes more risk for the insurer, so they need to get a more expensive put. They need to put at a higher strike. And then also if the premium is higher, the higher the premium is, then the more protection they have and the lower they can set the strike. And so I have here the math for the strike right here in this box. And you'll see that the fund level times the guarantee level. So this, I actually made the strike basically equal to the fund value by just putting the mortality and expense fees and the rider fees at 0. So this made it just 1 to the 7th. And because the premium equaled the guarantee value, so those just crossed out and it just equals the fund value. So that's what the strike would be. And that makes sense because it's like, hey, but for my put option, I just want it to be right at 4,000, and then anything below that I start getting paid. Now when we start adding these fees, that hurts our account value. And if we hurt our account value, then we're more likely to exercise the put. And that means we need to up the strike price. And so that's the purpose of this math right there, and especially if it's for a longer period of time, just knocking down the premium, which hurts our account value. We're more likely, I suppose, in that sense, to exercise the value. Well, it all depends on what the market assumption is, right? If the fund return was 0 here, then it's more likely to be exercised. And so now going to the notional amount, I put the lapse rate at 0. And so now it's just the premium amount divided by the fund level. And so the premium is at 100,000, and 100 divided by 4 is $25. And what this means is for every single time, like let's say this strike was at $3,999 or $3,999, the index, at the very end of the period, the insurer will receive $25. And that's what it's saying right here. This is what the payoff is saying. And I'm not going to go into the put cost. They don't go into that into the simulation. That's more fitting for another time. But I'm just going to put these values right here back to what they normally were. And you'll see a couple of changes. You'll see that the notional decreased, and that's because of our lapse rate. And this is good for the insurer. It actually decreases the put cost if you just were to decrease the notional, saying, hey, we're going to decrease, we actually have a positive lapse rate, and so I don't need, like, even though it ups this amount right here for the payoff, it'll actually decrease the put cost. And so that's a plus for the insurer, having people lapse before the maturity, as far as the GMAB goes. And then the strike price, this one increased a ton, like what we talked about, because there were fees involved. And then so those fees make the account value go down, and so that's going to increase your strike price.